Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about a small cap company which is an API manufacturer, and in this week the stock has given a big run and this stock has become the talk of the town. It's Neuland Labs. Before I begin today's video, I would like to offer my gratitude to you all for sending me so many good wishes and words of encouragement through emails and in the comments. It gives me a lot of encouragement to create more and more videos for you, so thank you for that. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and consider joining the YouTube community. And you can follow me on different social media channels, especially on Telegram, as we are discussing a lot of interesting things there. Let's get started. So Neuland Labs was established in 1984. It's not, although it's a small cap company, it's not a new company in India. It has established itself in 1984 and it's a Hyderabad based company. It's a leading manufacturer of APIs. So APIs, as we know, has become a very interesting theme recently post-COVID. It's an end-to-end solution provider for formulation companies which use API as the raw material. So when we say end-to-end provider, it means right from the research and clinical trial stage till the delivery of the molecule, the entire process is comfortably done by Neuland Labs. Either the companies can buy the ready-made molecules which Neuland Labs produces, or they can outsource their API manufacturing to Neuland Labs. It has a team of more than 1,000 employees and it has developed more than 75 plus APIs till date. It has filed more than 204 patents and there is a R&D center located in Hyderabad with more than 200 scientists. So by seeing all these facts, you can understand that the company is quite focused on developing new products. It has 3 world-class manufacturing facilities. The Unit 3 came into production recently and it's expected to be scaled up a lot. It has presence in more than 85 countries and till now it has successfully completed 12 US FDA audits without any violations, which shows a clean track record about this company. More than 75% of the revenues are from exports, and in the exports, if you see, US and Europe contribute to more than 70% share. Coming to the global filings, you will understand the presence of this country through these filings. Till date, they have filed more than 898 DMFs or other filings, whichever you call it. In different countries, there are different names. If you see in USA, they have filed more than 57 DMFs. In Europe, in countries like Germany, France, Poland and Italy, they have filed more than 495. In Canada, they have filed more than 30. Likewise, in other countries, as you can see from the screen. So the majority of the filings are from the American countries or European countries. Let's talk about the management of this company. The chairman and managing director is Mr. D. Ram Mohan Rao. He was the chief promoter of this company. He holds a PG diploma in technology from IIT Kharagpur. He is a PhD in organic chemistry, which is quite relevant to this business, from US. He has held senior positions in research and development and production in Glaxo India for almost 10 years. So he is quite well experienced before he came out to start this company, Neuland Labs. The vice chairman and CEO of this company is Mr. D. Suchet Rao. He is a mechanical engineer, MBA finance from US, worked for Cummins Inc. USA as a production group leader, and he's green belt in Six Sigma, which is related to process improvements. He's managing Neuland since 2002 and he was earlier the chief operating officer of this company. The joint managing director is Mr. Saharsh Rao. He's an electrical engineer. He's masters in MIS and MBA from US. He has worked in SIFI earlier in sales and he has joined Neuland in 2007. So all these people are managing the company since quite a good time and they are managing it well. There's a simple corporate structure of this company. The company has 2 subsidiaries. One is Neuland Labs KK, which is in Japan, and another is Neuland Labs Inc., which is in US. Let's understand the track record or a few milestones, the journey of this company. It was incorporated in 1984. In 1986, it did its first API sale within 2 years. In 1994, it became a public listed company. In 1997, there was a first US FDA audit which was successfully completed. In 2004, it started its US operations, and in 2007, it incorporated a subsidiary in Japan. So up to 2007, it had 2 subsidiaries and 1 main company. In 2013, a complete restructuring of the company was done. The company started to focus more on the niche APIs which it currently manufactures and the CMS business, which is related to custom manufacturing. In 2015, 10th US FDA audit was successfully completed, and in 2018 it acquired one of the advanced intermediates and API facility for expansion. And in 2020, which is recently, it hit a target of more than 100 million plus in revenue. And while it has done so much revenue, more than 75 projects were live in the custom manufacturing business. Now let's understand the business model of this company in a simple manner. Broadly, there are three segments of business in this company. The first segment is GDS, which is generic drug substances. In this division, the company manufactures the ready-made APIs and sells the API molecules to the formulation clients. The second segment is related to CMS, which is custom manufacturing solutions. In this segment, the companies outsource their API manufacturing to this company, and as per their specifications, this company does custom manufacturing end to end from research to development and delivery, and hands over to the customer. The third division is peptides, which is again a niche manufacturing product. So let's talk about these things in more detail. The GDS division is for manufacturing of generic APIs, as we have discussed. This is the core business of this company. Majority of the revenue comes from GDS. And Neuland has developed an identity of a preferred source for a lot of APIs, and a lot of formulation companies prefer Neuland for those APIs in which Neuland has presence. The company ensures that the product quality is maintained. The company has knowledge and ability to deal with niche chemistry APIs, so it just does not just manufactures generic APIs, but they are also into specialty APIs. The delivery is on time. There are 2 US FDA and EU GMP compliant manufacturing facilities, and the third one has also started production now. The company has manufactured more than 75 APIs across 10 diverse therapeutic areas. Coming to the CMS, which is custom manufacturing solutions, the company has very deep understanding of the process, and the facilities of manufacturing are CGMP compliant, which the clients require. The company also does small scale clinical trials as well as the commercial scale, which gives the clients a lot of comfort, wherein they, even if they need a small outsourcing to be done, Neuland can be preferred. Although the company is coming into news recently, but it is one of the oldest CMOs in India into custom manufacturing. That's why it's a trusted partner for a lot of clients, and it ensures the compliance is completely done and the delivery is done on time. Coming to the third area of business, which is into peptides, we'll not get into much technical details. Peptides are compounds of amino acids, and they manufacture synthetic peptides. The production again is from milligrams to multi-kilograms. This gives their clients a lot of flexibility to outsource or to buy products like peptides from them. They have expertise in both simple and also complex peptides, and they have developed a lot of proprietary technologies to develop peptides, and quality-wise their products are great, and cost-wise also they are efficient. Now let's understand how much revenue is coming from which segment. If you see the last 9 months FY21 revenue, in APIs, again broadly they have classified into the prime APIs and specialty APIs. So the prime APIs contribute to 46%, specialty APIs to 22%, the CMS business is 30%, and other is 2%. So if you see, majority comes from the GDS business. If you see by geography, North America contributes 35% of business, Europe contributes 42%, APAC countries 7%, India about 5%, the MENA African region about 4%, Latin America about 3%, and Japan about 4%. So the majority of business is coming from American countries as well as Europe. Let's understand the market and the industry in which this company operates. I'll try to share some facts and statistics with you, which will give you more idea as to where this industry is heading. The share of specialty medicine in the entire medicine category is increasing, and it is expected to grow from 36% to 40% by 2024. Why we are talking about this? Because this company's products are more towards specialty medicine and not general medicine. So that's one point, but overall if you see, the growth has a little slowed down and is expected to slow down to about 5 to 8% growth in the next 2024. India's contribution is about 20% to the global generics market. So India is a big contributor to the global generic medicine, and 1/3 of US volumes are sent from India. The Indian pharmacy industry, if you see, it will reach 120 to 130 billion by 2030, which will grow at a CAGR of about 11 to 12%. So you see that the growth rate expected till the next 10 years would be very high, and India will become one of the top 5 markets globally in the next 10 years. India's share in global API supply now, when we talk about, is about to increase as people would prefer importing APIs from India. India's imports from China of the raw materials like intermediates and other molecules pre-COVID was almost 68%. So this will get reduced and people will start preferring Indian manufacturers, which will give Neuland a lot of advantage and increase in business. India's bulk drugs market is expected to grow at a CAGR of about 8.6%, which is pretty decent up to 2024. And the CMS business is also going to increase, and as more and more companies are preferring to outsource their small manufacturing processes. Who would be the competitors of this company? If you see among the bigger companies, I've mentioned only a few names. Divi's would be the largest competitor. Hikal among the smaller names, Laurus, Aarti Drugs, Solara Active, and in CMS, if you see a bigger competitor would be Syngene. There would be other competitors also. What could be the competitive advantage which this company has when compared to others, or what could be the economic moat? This company is 100% dedicated in producing APIs. They are not interested, and they tell it openly, in making formulations. So their clients are comfortable in buying APIs from them and outsourcing their API manufacturing to them, because they feel that there will not be any competition from this company either now or in future. Otherwise, people get skeptical whether they would know the information from this company and they could become future competitors. The company holds leadership position in some of the molecules which they produce. They have developed very good relationships with their customers. They have multiple IPs and DMFs filings, as we have discussed in earlier slides, and it has become a trusted partner for the CMS business, and it has capabilities to produce complex molecules and not just simple molecules. So this could be the competitive advantages. What would be the growth prospects of this company going further? The company has a healthy pipeline of molecules which are going to be produced in future. So the company is on a proper growth path. They are expecting, in fact, they are started showing better margins from this quarter, and they are expecting the margins to get even better in future. The Unit 3 has started coming into production, and they have started dispatching materials which they are manufacturing from Unit 3, and Unit 3's expansion is expected to grow even more. They will maintain their leadership positions in the molecules which they are already leaders, and they are trying to optimize their process more and more so that the yield is more and the cost gets reduced. They want to focus on niche APIs with complex chemistry going further. They will file more and more IPs as they have been filing. The customer relationships will get better to increase the CMS business, and their portfolio for CMS will also expand. They will offer more and more varieties of outsourcing possibilities to their customers to grow their CMS business. This sector as such, as we know, is on a growth trajectory part, so the tailwinds of the sector will help this company to grow, and the government will also support this sector with a lot of initiatives through the budget and also independently, like PLI schemes and other schemes going further. What could be the possible risks which this company might face? There could be several regulations and approvals which this company has to face, like any other pharma company. The crude oil and raw material prices might fluctuate, which will affect the margins of this company. The company was dependent on China pre-COVID, and in recent earnings call, the management has clarified that more than 90% of their imports from China, they have shifted to India or other countries. So dependency China is almost nil, and the remaining 10% also is with companies in China with which they have long, very good relations. So they want to just leave that there. There could be huge competition, as this API manufacturing is a very competitive space in India. The customer relationships will matter a lot, otherwise the business of especially CMS will be drastically affected. There could be forex risk because this company is into majority of revenues from exports. There are a lot of environmental regulations which the companies in pharma have to comply, otherwise there are notices being issued to these kind of companies for stopping their plants. Government could regulate the prices, there could be a risk, and data security is obviously a risk for any company today. Now, after understanding the entire business, the journey of the company, and segmental revenues and everything, let's come to the financials part. Starting with the quarterly results, we'll compare Q3 FY21 with Q3 FY20 performance. There was a bumper result, and that's how you see the stock moving so quick. The revenue was up by 20% year on year, and the revenue was 246 crores. EBITDA was 47 crores, up by 60%. EBITDA margin was at 19%. Compared to 14% in the earlier year same quarter. Profit after tax was 27 crore, up by 142%. Profit margin shooted up to 10.9%. From Unit 3, the company has started production and shipped 2 APIs, and they have filed a DMF for donepezil based with US FDA. So there's another key development. If you see the revenue in the last 3 years, it has been continuously growing at a CAGR of about 19.8, close to 20%. And in 9 months FY21, the company has already clocked a revenue of 694 crores, and it is expected to exceed the revenue of FY20 comfortably. The EBITDA is growing at a CAGR of about 39% in the last 3 to 4 years, and in the 9 months FY21, they have already done an EBITDA of 123 crores, which is much more than the earlier year. So in the leftover one more quarter, they are comfortably going to exceed the earlier year's EBITDA by very high difference. Coming to the profit after tax, if you see, there's a drastic improvement. The last 9 months, the PAT was 63 crores, much higher than the earlier years. And the debt is continuously reducing, which is again a good sign. So the debt left is only 167 crores. Debt equity ratio has gone down to only 0.26 in spite of the capex investment. The tangible assets are growing to 434 crores, so the company is investing in capex and expanding its capacities. The ROCE is about 12.1% now, which is becoming quite attractive, and it is expected to grow more coming in the future years. Let's understand the shareholding pattern of this company. The promoters hold about 36.3%, out of which 4.3% are pledged, which could we should keep this thing in mind, and we should expect that to be removed going further. FIIs hold about 15.9%, which shows that FIIs are quite interested in this company. DII 7.1%. So institutional holding is quite good, which is more than 22 to 23%. Others, the public, hold about 40%. Kedia Securities of Mr. Vijay Kedia holds about 1.56% in this company, which is interesting to note. The equity has been consistent. The reserves of this company are growing pretty fast. On 31st December, there was a cash of about 37 crores in the company. Remuneration to whole-time directors is about 6 crores, which is within the limits as per the Companies Act, and it's not alarming. Free cash flows are about 8.2 crores. So cash flows wise, the company is doing fine. The stat auditors of this company are MSK and Associates, a firm based off Hyderabad. And in related party transactions, there are no suspicious transactions. The ROE, ROCE for the 9 months FY21 is about 8.2 to 12.1, which is becoming better compared to earlier. EBITDA was about 17.7, PAT about 9.1%. Dividend yield is less because the company is investing in its growth. Coming to the valuations part. Last traded price about 1943. This could change as I make the presentation. 52-week high and low is about 246 to 2093. So in the last 1 year, the price has skyrocketed almost 10 times. Last 1 year returns about 300%, 5 years about 222%. It's a small cap company with a market cap of about 2,500 crores. P is about 46, industry P could be about 20. So valuation wise, this looks expensive. EPS 42 rupees, book value about 582, and which comes the price book ratio of about 3.3. So PB is fine, but in terms of PE ratio, it is quite highly valued because of the recent run up in the price. If you see the price chart, recent support could be about in between 1300 to 1400 range, and if you are buying this stock at around 1268, the PE comes to about 30, which could be a comfortable zone of entry if at all you are looking at buying this stock. Coming to the recent news and announcements, recently Texas Retirement Fund bought about 86,000 shares and acquired 0.67 stake in this company at about 1842. So if FIIs are buying at such high prices, then you might also consider this stock at such higher valuations. The management in their earnings call have said that the company is expected to grow comfortably in the range of about 15 to 20% for the next 3 to 5 years. So this is about Neuland Labs. I hope you like the facts which we have discussed in today's video. I'll summarize it as the management is good, competent, and they are managing the company quite pretty well. They have a clean track record. The company is showing consistent growth. In recent quarters, there has been great results posted by the company. They have strong capex plans. The margins of the business are expanding. The company is diversifying into more and more molecules. It's a small cap company which has a potential of becoming a mid cap and a large cap. The sector in which the company operates is pretty good, and the company is benefiting by the tailwinds. But the competition is very fierce in this field, so the company has to survive I don't find such a strong moat from this company side. Valuation wise, after the recent run up, I feel it has become a little pricey. So that's about Newland Labs. I hope you like this video. If you, what's your view on this stock, whether you would invest or not invest, whether it's good from your point of view, expensive, cheap, please do share your views in the comments below. And subscribe to my channel if you like the video. Please hit the like button. Follow me on different social media channels, especially on Telegram. Thanks for watching this video. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.